Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our third podcast of this year. Third overall, actually. RGVCampusWarriors.com, this December the 19th, 2012. As always, my name is John Cannon. I am the editor of RGV Campus Warriors. Sitting beside me, my senior staff writer, Vinny Davis. Vinny, we got two in the books. We're on the third one already.
It's going to be an exciting night of talk tonight. We're going to be talking about boxing, and we're going to be previewing Borderwars, which is this Friday.
Oh, yeah. Quick recap of last week's show. We always like to do this before we, jump into our next show. Great one. Carlos Diego was in here with us in the studio, and man, we did a breakdown of STFC. We did a recap. He came in, and I mean, he did a tremendous job. We got so much feedback, gave his 2 cents worth, and I'll tell you what, it was more than 2 cents. In my eyes.
I thought it was really interesting to get his perspective, especially when he started talking about different submission holds, what they do, how long it takes to pass out from this hold or that hold, and how critical it is to get out of a hold at a certain time. And it was just, he explained it in such a way that I could never do.
Great up-and-coming superstar. Obviously, Carlos has got such a bright future ahead of him. If you haven't followed this guy, just read up on him. This young man has won so many jiu-jitsu tournaments in the state of Texas. He's got an undefeated pro record. He's really moving up in the ranks. He's going to be fighting in Legacy in 2013. He's got 3 fights lined up with them, looking to come back and hopefully fight for STFC. So big things on the horizon for this young man. And I foresee Carlos Diego really, really going far in this sport.
And if you haven't had the opportunity to watch him, if you ever get a chance, take the time to go see him because you'll remember it for a long time.
Now we're going to shift gears and go from an MMA superstar to a boxing superstar who's going to be making his presence known in the Rio Grande Valley tomorrow. I'm sure everyone has seen on Facebook and Twitter as well as in the newspaper and on RGVCampusWarriors.com, plus the various media outlets. Juan Manuel Marquez, fresh off of his win against Manny Pacquiao on December the 8th, will be in the Rio Grande Valley tomorrow. Vinny, I don't know about you, but I'm really, really excited about this. Going to be in the city of Hidalgo. They're actually going to present him with the key to the city on December the 20th. And they're proclaiming tomorrow Juan Manuel Marquez Day.
Exciting event for the Valley. I know a lot of people are excited. And this isn't the first time that he's been here.
This is actually his third appearance in the Rio Grande Valley. The first time he was here was in 2006 in November at the Dodge Arena. At the time, the Dodge Arena. Now, of course, it's State Farm. And he actually had a boxing match. He was in the main event against Himrex Haka in a Golden Boy show as a part of Golden Boy and Cavazos Boxing. Talked to Anthony Cavazos. I remember that night. I was there. It was packed. Electric. So many people came out to watch this. So many people came to show their support. Same thing in December of last year, 2011. He came down for the grand opening of the new McAllen Public Library. And, man, I'll tell you what, I couldn't make it to that one, but Rolly and one of my other staff members were there, and they told me the line was from here to Timbuktu. I mean, so much support. And we're hoping the same thing is going to happen tomorrow. If I know our boxing fans as well as I do, they're going to come out and they're going to show their support. Doors open tomorrow, 4 p.m. Festivities will kick off about 6 o'clock from 6 to 8. Admission is free, Vinny, for this. So, haven't really got word yet if there will be autograph opportunities or any photo opportunities. I'm working on that. So, tomorrow, make sure you stay close to our Facebook page, RGVCampusWarriors.com. I put in a couple of calls to the city of Hidalgo, to the city manager's office. Should be getting a call back tomorrow. As soon as I know something, I will be letting you know. But, Vinny, real exciting. It's great to bring him down here.
Yeah, it should be a memorable time for everybody.
Keeping in boxing, another event that we had coming up, besides Borderwars. This Saturday, Raphael Murphy from Harlingen was going to be heading to Chicago to go face Emmanuel Wright. Got word today from Murphy that the fight has been pushed back until the end of January due to some violations in the building. I guess there was some fire violations or something like that. And the promoter just really didn't have enough time to secure another venue. Didn't really get to talk to Murphy over the phone, but I'm sure he's got to be frustrated. This young man hasn't fought that much this year, and for a young prospect, he should be fighting kind of like the way Omar Figueroa has been and should be fighting on a regular basis.
Yeah, I can understand that he is very disappointed. Me and him talked a couple times throughout the year, and he's only had 2 fights. I know he would like to stay more active than that, and he stays in shape. He's ready. He's ready for the call. So, like I said, his motto is to he stays ready so he doesn't have to get ready. And if you've seen him, he's in great shape. He's just a fantastic athlete, and he had an outstanding showing in Harlingen just in October.
Yes, he did. And of course, as soon as we know something, again, like we always like to say, ladies and gentlemen, go to rgvcanvaswarriors.com. We always give you the breaking stories, breaking news as it happens. So as soon as we know something about Murphy and he gives us that date and lets us know, we'll definitely let you know. Before we jump into Border Wars 2, our special guest tonight was supposed to be Valley Promotions President Juan Trevino. Unfortunately, Juan had a work issue that he wasn't able to get out of. But just to let you know, we've got everything you need. Vinny's got so much information on these fights. And I say we jump right into Border Wars 2. But before we do you know why or how Juan came up with the name Border Wars?
I know you know the story better than I do, so I'm going to let you...
You're going to put me on the spot,
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay, why not? Basically, when Juan started the first Border Wars, which was called The Heat Is On, we sat at Buffalo Wild Wings in Wesco, and I'll never forget this. I was working on a story, basically like we always do. We do a pre-story, talking about the fight, talking about who's on it, some little interesting tidbits. So first thing I asked him, I said, Juan, where did you come up with the name Border Wars? And he said, well, obviously, everything that's going on across the border right now, the drug trafficking and all the, the battles and stuff like that going on between, in Mexico, and then obviously with it kind of crossing over here into the U.S., there was so much negativity, when they talked about the borders, the bordering states, Texas and, of course, the bordering country of Mexico. So what Juan wanted to do was he wanted to bring something positive to this, to the border, to Border Wars. So what he did was he pitted the best young talent from Mexico, Reynosa, Matamoros, against the talent here in the Rio Grande Valley. Again, young prospects. So that's pretty much how the name Border Wars came to existence. And I'll tell you what, the first show did a great job. For his first one and never really doing anything like this before, he did a tremendous job. And I got a feeling Border Wars 2, especially with the information that you've got, it's going to be exciting again. Explosive night.
I think so too, and when I think back of the first Border Wars, there's some names that were on that card that just still are burned in my brain. That I think of them, and I remember that they came from that card, and so I'm hoping that we're going to have some really good memories from this card as well.
And actually, a couple of those names that we're going to be talking about who fought in Border Wars 1 are fighting in Border Wars 2. So you're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's jump into this.
Sure.
First fight of the night. I know that you're excited about this one. What a way to kick off Border Wars. We've got Joe Garcia from Edinburgh coming in with a record of 1-0, facing Richard Hernandez from El Campo, Texas. Now, something about Richard. Richard comes in with an 0-4 record. But, Vinny, you've seen this guy fight, and I know you've told me his record is not – it's very vindictive because this young man does not look like an 0-4 fighter.
Not at all. I was really surprised when I got to see his record when we were doing the research for these fights, and just the way I saw him fight last time, I just had to. I just couldn't believe that it wasn't better than that. The kid fights with a lot of heart. I got to see him in September in Robstown fight Oscar Cantu out of Kingsville. Oscar Cantu is a tremendous opponent and a fantastic fighter, has an outstanding amateur background, has a fabulous trainer in his father, Jaime Cantu, and Oscar is 3-0, just moved up to 6 rounds, so I know that they have big plans for this young man. And for Richard to fight him the way that he did was unbelievable. The crowd was... some of the crowd was cheering for Richard, and some of the crowd was cheering for Oscar. There was a lot of people in the crowd that thought that Richard could win this fight. He came up short, lost a 4-round decision, but even though he did, I walked away with a lot of respect for this young man. He got in there and just fought toe-to-toe, blow-to-blow, wasn't scared at all to get in there and fight. and just fought with a lot of heart. And if he fights anything like he did in September in this fight with Joe Garcia, you're going to get your money's worth right there. And Joe Garcia is out of Edinburgh. He fights out of Bad Boys Gym. He has heavy hands. He's lightning fast. He's tall and lanky. He likes to fight, and he likes to throw down. So does Richard.
It's going to be an exciting way to open Border Wars too. Good night to kick off.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Fight number 2, we've got Eduardo Garza of Mission making his pro debut against a man you and I know very well, Ivan Cerrone of Reynosa at 1-2. And I tell you what, Ivan's first win, memorable. Border Wars 1, again, we talk about some guys from Border Wars 1 that stuck in our head. This is probably the main one. Ivan Cerrone came in here heavy underdog against Oscar Tovar Jr., who was undefeated at the time, and clearly winning the fight. Oscar Jr. clearly winning this fight. In the 4th round, Cerrone clocked him, knocked him out, and won the fight. Huge upset, Vinny.
Yeah, it was, and I know you could hear a pin drop in that building that night when Oscar went down.
Harlingen was quiet.
Yeah, Harlingen was very quiet, and it was one of those things that everyone was just kind of shaking their head. Hey, did this really happen? Did this, because it was.
Oscar was out for a while,
and he was out.
It was scary. I mean, we sat there alone and kind of looked at each other, and he wasn't moving. It was a scary knockout.
Well, that fight was definitely a wake-up call for Oscar Tovar Jr. And if you follow us on RGVCanvasWarriors.com, you'll see that I wrote a story, and he talks about this. He talks about that knockout very openly. He's not shy to talk about it. Says it was his wake-up call. Says he learned a lot from it. Says it was a valuable lesson. And, he says that he made him a better fighter.
Yep. Talk a little bit about. I mean, obviously, I know we've talked about Cerrone, but Eduardo Garza. He's making his pro debut. I know a lot of times, a lot of people don't know what to expect from a pro debut, but that's where we come in and kind of let them know.
Okay, so Eduardo is going to be Ivan's opponent. Eduardo is from Mission. This is his pro debut. He's a tough kid. He has a good amateur background, and he's been sparring with Oscar Tovar Jr. at Bad Boys, so been getting a lot of experience. He's fast and he has power. Very talented kid.
Interesting. We just talked about upset when Cerrone upset Oscar Tovar Jr. Obviously, Garza working with Tovar Jr., I'm sure he's telling him things and giving him pointers, as well as Oscar Sr., to say, hey, look, this is what you're going to have to do to beat this guy. So that's another great fight right there.
Sure is.
Fight number 3, we've got another pro debut in David Rios of Edinburgh, who will be facing Hector Gutierrez of Sinaloa, Mexico, and Hector comes in with a 1-2 record.
Yeah, his last fight was against Carlos Orenday, but the fight was in January of 2012, almost a year ago, 11 months ago. Hector won a 4-round unanimous decision, but it's been a little while. This is David Rios' pro debut. He's from Bad Boys Gym. This is going to be a featherweight fight, but David is coming in with an amateur career of 80 fights.
Wow.
And he's strong and fast and just has good boxing skills.
80 fights, that's a lot. I mean, that goes a long way, and obviously really prepares you for the next level, which he will be doing on Friday night, making his pro debut. We go to fight number 4, and this one's got another interesting little twist to it. Ricky Palacios of Mission, making his pro debut in boxing, will be facing another pro debut in Julio Villarreal of FAR. Now, I'm sorry, Juan Loeta. I take that back. Juan Loeta of Reynosa, who's making his pro debut. Now, Vinny, I did a story, actually Pete Balderas did a story on Ricky Palacios a couple of months ago. And for a whole different thing, nothing pertaining to boxing. Inform us a little bit about that.
Well, Ricky has an outstanding amateur career in MMA, as you know, and he's just coming off just a great win in San Antonio in October, I believe.
His pro debut.
Yeah,
correct?
it was his pro debut in MMA in the later part of October or the early part of November. Was a great match. I had the opportunity to see it. Tough guy. Tough guy. If this guy boxes anything like he does MMA, Juan's in trouble.
Wow. What about Juan Luetta? What do you know about him?
I don't know much about him. Juan from Valley Promotions said that he really thinks that this is a good matchup. They're both making their pro debut in boxing. He likes to punch, he likes to fight, so it should be a good match.
Yeah, sounds like it. I know I'm curious in seeing Ricky make that transition from MMA to boxing. And of course, we've seen it happen before. Randy Fuentes,
That's right.
who fought MMA, now has fought about 4 fights in boxing, and he's done well, undefeated. And the transition has really been well for him. So hopefully the same thing will happen for Ricky.
And Randy, I think, is an outstanding, exciting boxer to watch.
Yes, very, very young, up-and-coming prospect. Fight number 5, Battle of the Heavyweights. We've got Juan Alejandro Guajardo making his pro debut of McAllen, and he will be facing Julio Villarreal of FAR in his pro debut as well.
Now, Julio, he has a MMA background as well. This is his first boxing match. He's going up against Alex, and he's strong and fast. He has 10 amateur fights. He has a football background, and he has a reputation for being a good body puncher. And we've seen in some recent fights that when these big guys start hitting in the body, the big guys don't stand up for too long. So, hopefully, I'm looking forward to this being a really good match. It's fun to see heavyweights because you just don't get to see heavyweights as often as you used to.
And we actually saw, not trying to switch gears, but at STFC, there was 2 heavyweights that battled it out, and you would think that as a heavyweight in MMA, you'd be more of a striker. Well, they actually went to the ground. Of course, it ended by a knockout, but I'll tell you what, them big boys, they put on a show. So I'm sure these big boys, especially being in their pro debut, they want to come out and, everybody's always wants to get that first win on that record.
Sure. And you know what? You're going to see there's quite a few guys on this card making their pro debut. I'll tell you, when you have guys, young, hungry guys like this, I don't care if their record is 0-0 or 0-1 or whatever. You know what? You got these young, hungry guys. They're coming in there and they're going to fight, and I know they're going to give you a good show. That's what they're out to do.
Especially the next fight we're getting ready to talk about right now.
Next fight.
Now, originally the co-main event was scheduled to be Angel Hernandez against Raphael Reyes. Unfortunately, from what I understand, Vinny, there was some issues with Reyes, and this fight had to get scratched. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. He just they were having an issue getting his paperwork in on time. They were dealing with it since last Friday. It was supposed to get it by Friday, and haven't heard anything, and so the fight had to be scratched.
It was unfortunate. Both these guys were coming in very evenly matched. You had Angel at 5-1, and you had Reyes at 6-2. I know, to me, I thought this was going to be the fight of the night. Juan as well said these guys were this was a very, very evenly matched fight, but unfortunately this kind of stuff happens. So what did Juan do? He made a great change in the co-main event, and I'll tell you what, he couldn't have picked a better one. Bumped up now, which was originally going to be the featured contest of the evening, now becomes the co-main event, and it features Mario Amador coming in at 2-0 from FAR against a guy you gotta love him, Arturo Herrera from Reynosa, with an 11-26 record. But I'll tell you what, that record right there, again, kind of like Richard Hernandez, very, very deceiving.
Yeah, sure. And I was talking to Oscar Tovar Sr., and he was saying the reason why it seems like a lot of young guys in the Valley kind of use Arturo for a stepping stone because of the experience he has. He has almost 40 fights under his belt, and when these guys beat this guy or have a win over Arturo, everyone says, "Man, that guy's tough. That guy has a lot of experience." So beating Arturo Herrera is a nice little feather in your cap.
Yeah, and this guy has fought some young prospects. I know you've got some names there. And I'll tell you what, when you hear the names, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to think that they dominated this guy. But I'm going to tell you what, he went the distance with, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much every one of these guys.
Yeah, we have Oscar Tovar, we have Juan Reyna, Jerry Belmontes, Omar Figueroa, James Cantu. I mean, that's quite a list of guys.
Exactly, and I know that just recently he fought Mark Torres, and I know you told me that was a really good fight.
I thought it was one of the best fights in Harlingen that night. Both those guys just fought their hearts out, toe to toe, and just when you thought that Arturo wasn't going to come back, he just came back with another punch. I think that a lot of people thought that fight was going to end a little earlier than it did, but it went the distance, and it was a tough fight.
Yeah. What about Mario? Mario's coming in. He, kind of like Arturo. Arturo's hungry. He wants to prove, and he wants to beat one of these young guys. He's the type of guy that even though he loses to these young guys, he shows nothing but respect. He's never talked trash, but he really wants to get that monkey off his back and get that win. Mario Amador as well. I know that he should have a lot more fights under his record. This kid's coming in hungry as well.
You know what? What a kudos to Juan for moving this up to the main event.
Co-main.
To the co-main event. Yes, I think this is an excellent fight for Mario Amador. I think he really does deserve that respect. He's a good fighter. He's a tough fighter. I think he's really before his time. I think he doesn't get the credit that he deserves because a lot of people don't know who he is, and those who do know who he is don't want to fight him.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. I've had the opportunity to go watch him work out and train. He's a heavy puncher. He's I got to put the mitts on him one day, and he was hitting the mitts, and he told me that was soft.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, be careful, don't hit me too hard. Hey, the kid's tough. I got to see some of his fights on tape. He was going to fight in November against Oceanique Foster. There was some problems with the state went ahead and canceled the fights with Social Promotions in Houston. They had some problem with their paperwork or what have you. I was looking forward to that fight. Mario Amador is an outstanding fighter. He was going to fight Felix Verdejo just 2 weeks ago on the Manny Pacquiao.
Yes.
And after they agreed to do the fight, Felix's camp called back and said, hey, we heard who this guy is. We heard he's tough.
They didn't want no part of it.
They didn't want no part of it.
Wow.
So we do have a story of Mario Amador on RGVCanvasWarriors.com. Let me tell you something. You're going to see a fabulous performance by Mario. He's in great shape. He's an outstanding boxer. And hopefully we're going to get to see him. He wants to fight 6 or 7 times a year. He's hoping that things will turn around and then people are going to come to him and start calling him and putting him on cards. And they really think it's a matter of time before that starts happening.
Wish him the best of luck, of course. Main event, we've got Oscar Tovar Jr. of Alton coming in at 5-1, facing Roberto Perez of Matamoros at 2-8. And again, I know this sounds repetitive, ladies and gentlemen. Roberto Perez, another guy. The record's very deceiving. Some of the names that you're going to hear on this list, I'm going to tell you what, you're going to be impressed. Vinny, you don't need to name them all, but just name a couple of the guys that stand out to you that Perez has fought.
Well, you have Juan Rodriguez, you have Sergio Perales, you have Robert
Marroquin, yes.
Okay, Marroquin. And all those guys right there currently have 22 wins on their record. I've seen Sergio Perales. He's a tough guy.
Yes.
And
he's got something big in the works coming up as well.
He has something big in the works. You know what? For a guy to step in here and fight these guys, you can look at a record and you say, oh, this guy's 2-8. But man, if you really know how to look at the record, dissect it a little bit, see how many times he's been stopped, see who he's fought, the net record looks a little different. Even though he has 2 wins and 8 losses, I give the guy credit.
Exactly.
This is going to be Oscar Tovar Jr.'s first 6-round fight. This guy's already been fighting. He's gone 7 rounds. He's gone 12 rounds. The guy's tough.
Yeah.
I hear he's a warrior. He likes to stay inside. Him and Oscar Tovar Jr., they fought in Oscar's second fight. Oscar hit him in the body with a punch to the liver, and they stopped the match in the first round. And ever since then, he's been wanting to a rematch with Oscar Tovar Jr. because he said it was a lucky punch. Now, Oscar Tovar Jr. says this fight's going to be pretty much like the first one.
Wow. So both of them already, kind of stirring the pot a little bit here.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Oscar Tovar Jr. when we were talking about Ivan Cerrone's match. You know what? I like watching Oscar Tovar Jr. fight. I like him, and he's great to talk to. He talks about this knockout. He says, "Hey, look, you know what? It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It made me more determined to come back and fight harder, to work harder in the gym. He said that it lets me know that I can't let up.
It takes a loss like that to really open people's eyes.
Yeah, and that's what it did for him. And his father told me the same thing. He said, "Hey, his work habits are definitely different than they were before that loss to Cerrone."
Sounds like it's going to be a great night, Vinny. We've got 7 fights on the night, ladies and gentlemen. $20 a ticket. You can't beat it. I mean, what a great way to kick off the holiday. I know a lot of people obviously are going to have next week, maybe next week off, or starting to get ready for the holidays for Christmas Eve, Christmas night. Hey, you looking for a Christmas present? What a way, man. $20. $20. Go watch the fights. Go support some local boxing. Doors open at 5:30. First fight begins at 7 p.m. For ticket information, you can contact Juan at Valley Promotions. Go to his Facebook page, or contact us as well. We can tell you how to get tickets. Fight will be at the El Gallito Ballroom in San Carlos. If you don't know how to get there, best way is go down 107. When you come to Valverde, just head north. Head north, and it's on the right-hand side. You can't miss it. Great night of boxing. I know we're looking forward to it. We're going to be in the house. And don't forget, we will have a complete recap on Saturday, rgvcanvaswarriors.com. Now, Juan informed us a little bit. We want to touch on this a little bit. He's already looking at Borderwars 3, looking to change it up a little bit. What he wants to do here is he's actually going to put teams together. He's going to have the best of the Rio Grande Valley and the best of Mexico in our area, Reynosa, Matamoros, against the likes of Laredo and El Paso and Mexico, Nuevo Laredo, and also Juarez. So I'll tell you what, Juan just continues to improve on this thing, and I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Border Wars 2 is next, but he's already preparing for Border Wars 3.
Yeah, it sounds exciting, and when you're bringing these young, exciting fighters from these border towns and from Mexico, you know what? It's just you just have an opportunity to see talent that you wouldn't normally see.
There you go. Before we end the show, as we always like to do, we like to do our quick hits. And I've got a couple tonight. Talked to Robert Garcia today. He finally has found out his fight has been moved, and it is scheduled for February the 13th. So we'll have some more information on that as soon as we know something. February the 15th. Correction. February 15th. He's working on getting the contract signed as we speak. So as soon as we know something, rgvcanvaswarriors.com will have a story for you. Danny Salinas making his return in 2013. He's got some big plans, big things that he's been talking to me about. He hasn't really talked about it, but he's excited. He's going to also let us know. We'll have that information for you too. And then War Machine. War Machine's coming to the RGV in February. For people that don't remember War Machine beat Roger Huerta back in the UWF #1. So that should be exciting. Exciting things coming to the Rio Grande Valley. Before we conclude our show, Vinny, I just want to mention, I know we're kind of short on time here. This Saturday from 2 to 4, we're going to be teaming up with the food bank as well as Barrett Auto Gallery and do a drive-away hunger food drive. It's going to be from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. The canvas stalls will be there. A couple of our local fighters, Torres Brothers, El Tigre Raul Caceres, Omar Figueroa will be in attendance. Come out, show your support. Come bring some perishable items, canned goods, stuff like that. Let's help needy families around this time, around the holidays. And that's it for me, Vinny. Next week, we've got Raul Ramos coming in from SCFC. Going to be talking about some stuff. Another great show in the books, my friend.
Was fantastic to talk about boxing and can't wait to see the fights.
Friday night, don't forget Borderwars 2. Get your tickets if you haven't. We will talk to you again next Wednesday. And before we get, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a very Merry Christmas. Hope you get everything that you want. And
be safe.
Be safe, exactly. We definitely want you back next week. So we'll get back with you next Wednesday. For Vinny Davis, this is John Cannon signing off. Y'all have a great evening and a Merry Christmas, everybody.